Hello everyone, in this video, part 2 out of 3, we are going to talk about the so-called controlled disclosure in more detail. Why controlled, what is its purpose and objective, and what can we expect from it. But before that, I would like to thank everyone for your support, views, likes and subscribes. In part 1 of this trilogy, we talked about disclosure of non-human intelligent life as such, and we have mentioned two types of potential disclosure scenarios, controlled and catastrophic one. As things stand, the observed course of events and the potential road leading into the future towards the disclosure efforts seem to hint at the controlled disclosure scenario as the one currently developing. Where to begin then? I personally believe that a slide from a presentation provided by Colonel Carl Nell during his 2023 Seoul Foundation speech is a good starting point. We can see it on the screen now. According to many people involved in the UFO circles and research, the disclosure effort, or at least the current iteration of it, really began with the 2017 publication of declassified US DoD videos depicting UAPs, the now famous Go Fast, Gimbal and Nimitz UAP videos. Since the American Department of Defense confirmed these videos to be legit and the origin of the objects visible in those videos as unknown in terms of their origin. This was chronologically followed by the 2018 Jellyfish UAP video published by Jeremy Corbell and the 2019 Puerto Rico UAP USO video showing an object submerging into water, exhibiting transmedium motion and splitting into two. Another key development along this line of controlled disclosure was the 2023 UAP hearing before the US Congress, followed by figures holding senior military ranks and positions, just to name the aforementioned Colonel Carl Nell or Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, coming forth and also claiming non-human intelligence to be real, visiting our planet and so on. Soon enough, according to the claims of Representative Anna Paulina Luna, we are going to witness another congressional UAP hearing come September or October this year. All of this seems to be a part of a concerted effort driven by and spearheaded by some figures very well known in the UFO UAP community, just to name Dr. Gary Nolan, Dr. Jacques Vallée, Dr. Kevin Knuth, Dr. Diana Pasulka, Christopher Mellon, Lou Elizondo and others. Carl Nell presented the general timeline of this likely scenario of disclosure of non-human intelligence to the world. As we could see in that slide, Phase 1 has been very much completed at this point. We have demonstrated the existence of unknown objects exhibiting all the properties of intelligent design behind them, but without a known point of origin thus far. Whatever data sources are available have been analyzed within our capacity. We have generated hypotheses regarding who and what we may be dealing with. The governments across the world, just to name the American DoD, France, Brazil, as well as Mexico and Japan to an extent, have acknowledged or at least accepted the possibility of intelligences interacting with us on a somewhat regular basis. Phase 2 of this scenario, which I believe may be somewhat off schedule as we are already in the second half of this year, involves mainly further studies, analysis and acceptance by the academia. This has been achieved to some extent between the efforts of Professor Avi Loeb studying potentially extraterrestrial materials, studies on the Nazca mummies and the recent discoveries fueled by the JWST telescope. The notion of life existing outside the Earth has been accepted by a substantial part of researchers dealing with such topics, and also expands to other fields of research, from physics and biology to psychology and religious studies. Thanks to the SALT conference event, which took place this year, the possibility of non-human intelligence and its technologies have been introduced to the world of finance and big money as well. As the stigma accompanying UFOs is slowly eroded, we are also entering concurrently Phase 3, public acceptance. The number of people willing to speak about their experiences, including military and civilian pilots, public figures in the fields of academia and politics, has been steadily rising. The notion of UFOs, UAPs, while still somewhat times ridiculed, is also treated much more openly than ever before in the media, and the approach is turning into one between mild curiosity and serious openness to the idea that we are not alone. Phase 4 of controlled disclosure is much more difficult. The main objective of this phase is to determine the nature of the phenomenon, and quite frankly this may be the most difficult part of the entire process. Jacques Vallée, who is definitely among the most knowledgeable figures in the field, clearly says that despite having spent nearly 6 decades dedicated to the study of UAPs and NHI, he is still unable to tell who or what we are exactly dealing with. The phenomenon is highly elusive and almost trickster-like in its nature. UAPs are notoriously difficult to observe, let alone record with veracity and reliability, allowing more serious data analysis. One of the key elements of this stage is the acceptance by the Five Eyes Alliance, so the US, Canada, the UK, Australia and New Zealand. Of all 5 countries, the US has likely made the most progress in this direction, while my own country, the UK, still officially does not acknowledge UAPs as an issue. In terms of phases 2-4, there are many actors pushing for disclosure in one way or another. From people like you and me learning and spreading knowledge about the UAPs and non-human intelligence, through people like Ryan Graves, approaching the phenomenon from the point of flight safety, through scholars like Vale or Diana Pasulka, who incorporate the more obscure and spiritual aspects of the phenomenon, to many people reading subreddits and other sources of information about UFOs. The progress is there, but it is still stymied by the powers that be, which seem to be unwilling to blow the proverbial lid off. More on that in the next episode dedicated to catastrophic disclosure, or by people simply afraid of what we may potentially be dealing with. Nevertheless, we seem to be moving forwards, even if at a glacier's pace sometimes. As we could see, the final phase of controlled disclosure involves scientific discoveries, proper oversight over technology, and potential interaction with the intelligence behind the phenomenon. It also implies a seamless transition to a post-disclosure world, one in which the future generations grow up with the awareness of us not being the only sentient life in the universe, as common as the use of mobile phone by the youngest members of our society right now. The key figures behind the disclosure movement seem to hint that this is the best course of action. They seem to point at potential and the unpredictable consequences of the so-called catastrophic disclosure and try to avert those. Others yet claim that this is the road to nowhere, and catastrophic disclosure, whether by our governments or by the non-human intelligence itself, is the only way to proceed forwards. The next video dedicated to catastrophic disclosure and its potential consequences will hopefully provide you, dear viewer, with some insight, and I hope it is going to be helpful for you to decide which course of action is the best one. Should we keep going as we are, deciphering the possibly greatest mystery humanity has ever faced step by step, or should we rip the proverbial cord and let the truth breach the floodgates? In the links below you can find Carl Nell's presentation for the Sol Foundation I have mentioned earlier, and a link to a white paper containing disclosure-related recommendations for the British government, just to outline that the issue is serious and actually considered at serious levels. And until then, thank you very much for watching. If you like the content and would like to see more, please like, subscribe and share. Your support is what keeps the channel going, and I cannot thank you enough for it. See you in the next one.